So, so Simon, tell me a little bit about your story with tinnitus.
So I initially had tinnitus. I worked in music for many years as a DJ, an audio engineer, and a music producer. My job entailed travelling the world a lot. I was on tour and in clubs most weekends, so I was surrounded by loud noise most of the time. I developed tinnitus, which at the time I thought was from having ear damage, actually, just from putting my ears through so much. And I got a mild tinnitus at first, but then it developed into much louder towards kind of the end of my career, which was a period in my life where I came to a crossroads and I wasn't too sure if I wanted to continue with my career, if everything was as it should be in my life. Relationships weren't going great, and all of those things hit at once. And my tinnitus started ringing extra loud. So it went from a mild, manageable to really present, really in your face.
So what was it that really helped your tinnitus get better then?
So I discovered. So basically, I put the word out to ask people on my Facebook as to how I can help my own tinnitus, and I heard back about craniosacral therapy. And I did some research, and I looked online, and there was a lot of success stories. And I read that it wasn't a quick fix, and it was going to be a gradual thing, but I was prepared to try it. So that's what I did, and I got some cranio, and it brought me down to like a new level that I'd never really been to before.
And just to get a sense of that, so out of 10, where would you have placed it, and where are you roughly now these days? If 0 is nothing and 10 is diabolical.
So I was initially probably 3 or 4. Then when I was going through some bad times and it all went, through the roof, I was probably 7 or 8. And I'm now back to barely hearing it. So I'd say 1 or 2. But if I put my nervous system through something, if I've been out drinking, or I've been out to a club, or I've been listening, I haven't protected my ears properly, or I've had a stressful day, then it goes up and it peaks for a day or so. Not to like a 7, 8, but like maybe a 4 or 5. Enough for me to notice it.
So do you have regular cranial sessions to help you settle and switch off then?
I do. So I have monthly cranio sessions. I also do a lot of yoga. I meditate every day, and I do a lot of running as well. I do a lot of jogging, which I find really helps. It keeps me grounded, and it keeps my tinnitus at bay. But I mean, my tinnitus is something. I treat it like a healthometer. So I know if I'm going through some times where it's everything's not going to plan. I mean, life is up and down, as we all know. Sometimes my tinnitus will start ringing more so. So I know how to reduce it. I know how to bring it back down to a normal level now by grounding myself and doing some yoga, meditation, and looking after myself.
And do you find that it's sort of overall gradually getting better and better, so that it takes more to bring it back the more you look after yourself and have treatment?
Exactly. The more I look after myself, the more. I mean, it seems to me like my nervous system, because I know this calm place, and because I can find this calmer place, I can go to that place much easier. I didn't know that existed before I started getting cranio work, and all of it really, the yoga, the meditation. I didn't know this calm place existed. So for me to go there now, I can go there much easier than I could have maybe a few years ago when I just started out.
Yeah, so I can also agree with you that having cranial work was one of the first few things that really helped me relax. It wasn't until I had my first session well into my late 30s that I started to relax deeply, and that's what caused my tinnitus to back off. And I've gone to long periods and actually years of having generally no tinnitus at all. And as you know, I came to you recently, had a little bit of tinnitus that came up from loud noise exposure, and you gave me a cranial session, and it actually helped knock it back into orbit. So I'm very grateful for that. And I think if we can get a really clear understanding that it is just a temporary stress response, no matter how long we've been in tinnitus, de-stressing, settling, and releasing the buzzy charge with somebody else helping you, it's just such a helpful way of working with tinnitus. Do you find that you give people sessions and it helps their tinnitus back off? Do you find that that's generally enough for them, for their tinnitus to make a good recovery?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I find a lot with my clients. I find a lot of them are living up here in their heads, and their attention is up and outwards. And as you know, with Cranio, it's about getting your attention back into your body and having a feeling of your body and what's going on below the neck. And until you can feel that, then you can't let go of what's happening in the body. So if you're causing a lot of stress to your nervous system, or maybe if you've had some trauma, or just generally an anxious person, then maybe you can't feel that within your body. So Cranio is great for getting you in touch with your body. And once that...
It's certainly working with a lot of tinnitus people, it's a very heady condition, and people can be incredibly out of touch with the body. Yeah. And it can be a journey into the body, really getting in touch, releasing, processing, and settling stuff that's held inside. And with people I work with, I often suggest that they take up maybe a body-based practice like yoga or Tai Chi, so that they can self-soothe. A lot of tinnitus people don't know how to self-soothe yet. So when you really balance or supplement craniosacral therapy with a home practice where you can learn to really settle your own system down, this can really tip the balance towards a very positive prognosis, quite readily, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And even other things such as swimming, or going for a jog, these other things. It doesn't have to be necessarily yoga or Tai Chi. I know those things are great for calming the system, but I found with my clients, some of them are not willing to take up those things because they're a little bit like, oh no, I don't want to get into that one. But I find that if it helps somebody to go for a jog and that calms their nervous system just as well, then that's also good, or even just cooking, or gardening, or something that's keeping them calm.
But it's definitely helpful to have somebody else objectively working on your nervous system and helping you release that, because it's much easier to let go when somebody else is working on you and holding the space for you. And I think having hands-on therapy is a very important piece of the puzzle, supplementing that with maybe a body-based practice, and also having a good, clear understanding how tinnitus works, what it is, why we get it, what helps it back off. And I think these three areas are incredibly helpful for making a good recovery from tinnitus.
I think so, yeah. I like to give my knowledge as soon as, obviously, the client arrives. I'd like to put them at ease and give my understanding of their tinnitus and give them assurances that it can be helped. I know a lot of people tend to panic initially.
Unfortunately, a lot of this panic is caused by reading negative information on the internet. I think most people, when they find out what's going on, oh my God, I got tinnitus, they go straight to the internet and they read so much negativity that's there from groups of stuck people who haven't got better yet. And the danger is that people think that this is the way it is, but they're only seeing people in clumps of negativity. And it's very, very important not to get too affected by this, because if it's a stress-related symptom that's activated by fear or threat, the last thing we all need is to hear tales of doom and gloom. This is not going to help.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, those people who hang around on those forums tend to be, looking for a negative conversation, or clinging on to a more negative side of things. People who have help themselves and let go of their tinnitus don't really hang around on those forums. So.
If you look at the real science of this, and if you look at the TED talk by Joseph Rauschecker, he shows so clearly in a functional MRI scan the part of the brain that ramps up the auditory gain of tinnitus by up to 3 times the normal level. And the nucleus accumbens, this part of the limbic system, is all about feeling, it rewards positive behaviors, so bonding, friendship, eating, lovemaking, really healthy, life-affirming behaviors with pleasure. But if we're isolated, cut off, afraid, fearful, threatened, and we go into fight or flight mode or freeze response, then the pleasure receptors come down, and actually the auditory fight or flight alarm bells start ringing. And it's the physiology of this. If you look at the brain stem and the MRI scans, it just points this side of tinnitus out really clearly. So the positive message of this is feeling safe, calm, relaxed, understanding, having a clear view of how it works, and knowing how to relax and settle makes it better. So you are an ideal person to help people with tinnitus because you've got your own journey, you've helped yourself, so you know what it's like. So you know exactly what people are going through, which is helpful because it's very frustrating, not understood. And you offer hands-on treatment that helps people settle. So this is very, very helpful when people are looking for practitioners.
It's very interesting to see clients when you first meet them and just how far they come from the first session to maybe 3 or 4 or 5 down the road, and just how much calmer they are during the session, after the session, before they arrive. And it's a very powerful thing to see. And obviously not everybody knows what craniosacral therapy is and what it does. But it's
very comforting for people to find out about it too, because for part of the problem of being a hands-on body therapist is that we need to keep everything confidential. So the thousands of positive case histories we're not allowed to use to show other people the value of the work. But putting the information out there on the internet, on YouTube, and allowing people to find out other people's success stories builds up all the positive voices out there, people like us who've got better. And the millions of people who used to have it and don't have it anymore, who are no longer talking about it, it really helps people get a clearer view that this is just a temporary stress response, even if it's caused by hearing damage or loud noise exposure. Once the system really settles, the whole auditory pattern can really recalibrate itself and cause safety, causes the alarm bells to stop ringing.
Exactly, and everything softens and comes back down to a normal balanced state. Obviously, this can take some time, as we both know, but it does happen. It can happen. We see it with our clients.
I recommend seeing somebody maybe 6 sessions once a week for a period of time. That gives a good hammock of support and really helps people settle enough to really get a noticeable improvement, which causes people to become much more motivated and to keep on track, so to speak.
And once you break the negative loop that they see it working and see their tinnitus lowering, then it becomes a much easier path, doesn't it?
Yeah, because it's not a quick fix. It's more like a steady or gradual fix, and the effects of craniosacral therapy can be accumulative. So, after a couple of sessions you feel more relaxed, but after 5 or 6 sessions you really start to notice being more grounded and much clearer. And people tend to say, gosh, I'm not afraid of it anymore. It's not bugging me so much. it sounds a bit quieter. I'm spending long periods of time forgetting about it, and this is such a good step in the right direction to recovery. Can you tell me where you work?
Yeah, so I'm in East London, but I also work from North London as well. My details are on my website as to the locations.
Okay, and with Stratford and Primrose Hill.
Bow, it's borderline Hackney Bow, yeah, near Victoria Park.
Okay, and your website, people can
head to my website and see my locations and get in touch with me. They can read the tinnitus page, which also gives you know, a lot of information and on there. But feel free to contact me.
What is your website?
My website is www.simonbakerholistichealth.com. So I'll put it underneath the video, so it's easier for people to.
And your phone number?
07739 340 201.
It's good to hear it, because you know, when we are in a stressed out state, it's quite good to get the information clearly. But yeah, so it's just really great to put the information out there. And if anybody has any further questions about craniosacral therapy, they can find out a lot from the association website as well. It's just the Craniosacral Therapy Association of the UK. It's called craniosacral.co.uk. And if you go onto that, you can find a web page, find a practitioner near you. So if you're miles away from London, in the southeast, then you can easily look up a practitioner near you. Any country in the world, just Google it, and hopefully you'll find somebody nearby. If you can't find craniosacral therapy, it's not the end of the world. Find a good hands-on body-based practitioner who can relax you and leave you in a deep state of calm. You really need to just feel very, very calm and relaxed. I would say once a week at least.
Yeah, I agree. I think initially as well, I think weekly sessions are a must at first, you know, just to keep that momentum and keep your nervous system in a good.
And if you can supplement this with finding a very gentle, calming body practice like yoga or Tai Chi, it is so helpful to know that if you're in a state, or you're having a real wobble, or something's going on, you're stressed out, your tinnitus is going bananas, to get on the floor, get that yoga mat out, and to know that half an hour later, you're going to feel much calmer and relaxed. When we know we can soothe ourselves and settle ourselves, it has a massive knock-on positive effect. You feel so much more empowered, and learning how to do this, I think, is an incredibly important piece of the puzzle.
And just on that as well, I like to give my clients quick fixes with breathing work as well. I think there are good ways of using the breath to bring your anxiety or any sort of adrenal state back down to a calmer place. But I go through that with my clients as well.
It's very, very useful. For example, a very simple one is just taking 5 breaths where you breathe out of the mouth and then close the lips, and you just let the in-breath happen all by itself. But you count it on 5 fingers, and by the time you get to the end of the 5th breath, often you've forgotten what you were thinking about. Your focus on the tinnitus may have been forgotten, and the mind moves on to something else. It's tremendously helpful to have these very simple tools and strategies that help you unstick the mind from the ringing and settle yourself. And breathing's a wonderful one to do for clients. So yeah, I just want to say that I've had cranial sessions from Simon, and he's helped my tinnitus back off. And if you're thinking of finding somebody to help you with tinnitus, Simon's the ideal person, because he's helped his own tinnitus come down. He's got a lot of experience working with this, having worked in the music industry for so long, and he can really help you understand the conditions behind tinnitus, what helps let go of it, and give you hands-on treatment to settle you down. I tend to get very busy, and you don't want to wait, I really recommend Simon highly. Um, and do go and see Simon once a week regularly, because it can really help bring the ringing down to a much more manageable level, and just keep on going. Get your support network set up, and somebody like Simon, who knows what he's talking about, he walks the talk. He's been through it. This is really important. He understands. It's very helpful to have somebody who understands what we go through, and then to have some immediate impact on settling your system. I go and see Simon for my cranial sessions, and I'm left feeling deeply calm and relaxed and very grateful. We can't do it by ourselves. Having good hands that you trust is a really great help forward. So I recommend you, Simon, highly.
Thanks, Julian. Thanks for your time today. It was an interesting conversation. I know there's not many of us around doing this, and trying to, help the tinnitus people of today.
An absolute pleasure, and let's just hope this helps other people with tinnitus get on the road to recovery.
Great. Thanks, Julian. Cheers.